Barnaby Jones, starring Buddy Ebsen. Also starring Lee Merriweather, with guest stars Susan Clark, Roger Perry, Lyndon Childs, special guest star John Vernon. Tonight's episode, Woman in the Shadows.
Hank, wake up.
Oh, hi, Grant.
It's Lila Evanston. I think she's dying.
Oh, no.
Not now. Listen to me. I think she's dying.
All right. Hurry. Stat epinephrine. Resuscitate her.
Hank. Hank. You did the best you could.
I killed her. Anaphylactic shock. I shouldn't have used the experimental matrix in her reconstruction. She couldn't handle it.
No one will blame you.
Well, her husband will. And with his kind of money, he can make it stick.
The insurance company will handle it.
Again? It's taken me 2 years to come back from the last malpractice suit. I mean, there isn't a plastic surgeon alive who could survive this.
There must be something we can do.
Maybe there is. Lila Evanston herself saw the strong resemblance.
Oh, no. Hank, it would never work.
The bone structure wouldn't have to be changed at all. Just tissue alterations. Any discrepancy would be covered by the accident.
No, I won't do it. The voice, my hair.
Voice is easy. All we'd have to say is Lila Evanston had a laryngeal node removed. And the hair we can fix later.
No. No, please.
I'd owe my life to you. If you love me. If you really love me. You're beautiful. Are you ready?
What if something goes wrong?
Look, we've been through all this. These last few weeks, you've learned more about Lila Evanston than her husband knew all the time they were married.
But sooner or later, he's got to know.
No. Her face was nearly destroyed in the accident. All you have to do is play it smart.
He was her husband.
John and Lila haven't been close for years. Come on.
Dr. Danvers? Mrs. Evans, I have your rooms all ready for you.
Thank you, Dodie. How's your son? Is he still in St. Louis?
Yes, Mrs. Emerson, and doing quite well. It's good to have you back.
It's nice to be home.
Take good care of our patient, Dodie. It's going to take a little while.
Yes, sir. You can depend on me.
Lila? I wasn't expecting you back today. I wish you told me. I was just on my way to London. I wanted to be back before they released you from the hospital.
I thought you might enjoy the surprise.
That's all right, John. I need rest anyway.
Are you sure it's okay?
Yes.
It's the first time I've seen your face without bandages.
Only if you promise not to be too critical.
You're a magician, Hank. You've really outdone yourself this time.
Wait till you see the bill.
How's the arm?
It's getting along nicely, and
I'm glad you're home, Lila.
It's nice to be home.
Well, on plane. Goodbye. Goodbye, Hank.
goodbye. Well, Mrs. Evanston, we've done it.
Mrs. Evanson, the doctor said you were to stay out of the sun.
Oh, yeah. Can I do that?
Sure. Oh, before I forget, Jimmy called. He says he's holding 3 o'clock open for you this afternoon.
Jimmy?
Mr. Collin. He says no one's to see you till he does your hair.
Oh.
Excuse me. It's the gentleman from your insurance company. He said it was important. I told him you weren't seeing visitors.
That's all right, Dodie. Good morning.
Ms. Evanson, I'm Barnaby Jones. I'm a private investigator retained by California Meridian Insurance to look into your accident.
Oh. Well, that was over 3 months ago. I supposed all that had been taken care of.
Well, at the suggestion of your doctor, we didn't bother you for a little while, but since your chauffeur was killed and the gentleman driving the other car was killed, we didn't have much to go on.
I'm afraid I'm not going to be much help. You see, I have no memory of that accident.
Then you don't know how fast your chauffeur was driving.
Sorry, it's a total blank.
But your chauffeur was driving. That's true, isn't it?
Well, he would have to be. You see, I don't drive. I don't even have a license. You did say you were working for my insurance company.
Well, you see, the family of the gentleman who was driving the other car, the one who was killed, is suing for $1 million, and we'd sort of like to know all the facts.
I'm sorry. I don't remember anything.
Lila? What are you doing out here? I distinctly gave you orders not to expose yourself to the sun.
Dr. Danvers' bark is worse than his bite.
Only when my patients don't look after themselves.
This is Mr. Barnaby Jones. He's a private investigator for the insurance company about the accident.
Howdy.
How do you do?
I've been meaning to call you, just routine questions.
Routine. But a lot of them.
I see you're familiar with insurance companies.
Insurance paperwork is a millstone around every doctor's neck. Call my secretary. She'll make an appointment for you.
Oh, sure.
And now, if you don't mind, Mr. Jones, I'd like to examine my patient.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Evanston. I'll see myself out.
Bye.
It's something we didn't count on.
If he's all we have to worry about.
You know, you ask me, the real one, does anyone live through that crash?
Were you at the scene of the accident?
Oh, yeah. I got there before the ambulance. See, I got this 460 mil in that rig of mine, and nothing can outrun it, not even a black and white if I get a head start.
Was the chauffeur and the driver of the other car alive when you got there?
No. Matter of fact, I thought the lady was dead, too. The way her face was all messed up. She would have been, too, if she'd been pinned behind the wheel. Look, I told all this to the police about 3 months ago. Say, they said to leave everything just as it is.
Yeah, I know. Ms. Evanston said that chauffeur was driving.
Well, that's hard to tell. They were both thrown clear. Looked to me like he was thrown from the passenger side, though. She was on the driver's side when I found her.
Car could have spun around after they were thrown out.
Yeah, could have done most anything.
Did Mrs. Evanston talk to you that night?
No, like I said, she was in awful bad shape. Sorry, I'm afraid I gotta run, man. Look, I should have taken off 10 minutes ago.
Okay, I'll just look around.
Yeah, okay, go right ahead.
Mrs. Evanston, how nice you look. You don't know how happy we are to have you back.
Thank you, Rita.
Mr. Collin is tied up right now, but he gave specific instructions that I was to take you directly back to his private studio. The roses are for you.
I mean that, you know. Every word of it. Well, aren't you going to say anything?
I don't know what to say.
Well, you could start by saying thank you very much for the flowers.
Thank you for the...
And then I can kiss you. And we can start talking about getting out of here and going to my place.
Not today.
What? Lila, the hospital can't possibly have changed you that much. This is your Jimmy boy.
Well, it's just that I'm not feeling well, and Jimmy, I don't want you to rush things.
My goodness. Things really have changed. And what's this?
What are you talking about?
That birthmark. It's your hairline. It's not there anymore.
Dr. Danvers removed it.
He did? My goodness, no scar, huh? He's very meticulous.
Very good.
Well. Your hair is different. Your voice is different. My Lila is a whole different woman.
Dr. Danvers He's a magician.
Yes, he certainly is.
I have to go.
Yes, maybe you better. You're looking a little pale. And I'll tell you what, maybe under the circumstances, it might be better if I came to see you tomorrow.
Mighty thin file. Is this all there was on the Evanston accident?
Well, it's just an accident case, Barnaby. We need our file space for murder and mayhem.
That'll be a lot thicker before I get through. According to the autopsy report, they found no blood alcohol in the chauffeur or the driver of the other car. Did they run a test on Mrs. Evanston?
No, it's not routine procedure to run a test on the passenger.
If she was a passenger.
Didn't think she drove.
Well, she doesn't have a license, but that doesn't prove she wasn't behind the wheel of the car. According to the diagram, there were no skid marks, no spin, but it looks for all the world like she may have come out of the car on the driver's side.
Yeah, well, high-speed impact does some funny things.
Or alcohol. Our company's going to have a lot better evidence than this to defend Mrs. Evanston in a civil suit.
Well, what does she say?
Well, that's just a thing. She claims she doesn't remember. I wish I could find just one person who would definitely testify that she was not behind the wheel of that limousine.
Jones Deli and Catering. With fast and friendly service, we deliver. Hi, Lieutenant.
Betty. Betty, were you able to track down that parking stub?
Will you listen to the man? I float in here on the aroma of hot pastrami and cold potato salad, and he wants to know about a ticket stub. Excuse me. Yes, I did. You know, I tracked down 7 companies before I found the one that printed that stub.
The one you found in the limousine?
Yeah. Came from a place called the Blue Heron.
At the beach?
Yeah. I think I'll take a run out there.
But you haven't had a bite of lunch.
Well, you know how it is. One bite beats to another. You like hot pastrami, don't you, Lieutenant?
It's the fruits of being self-employed. Now, the police department gives you a full half hour for lunch, whether you need it or not.
Oh, Brutus! Sit.
Come on, Brutus. Fella, how are you, huh? Never thought I'd see the day when you and Brutus would become friends.
You're back early.
Yes, I should have phoned you from the airport. I know how you hate surprises.
Not at all. How did things go in London?
Negotiations ended early, so came back here to coordinate the efforts.
It all sounds very hectic.
Truth is, it wasn't hectic at all. I left before negotiations started.
Why?
Because I thought I saw something. Something in your face when you came home. Just want to make sure it wasn't my imagination.
I thought you were pleased with the results of the operation.
I am. It's not that. But looking at you now, I realize that I've been guilty of too many trips like this one. Unnecessary trips to unnecessary places. You know what I mean?
No, I'm afraid I don't, not unless you tell me.
Well, I've never been very good at talking to you. Strange it should seem different now.
Come on, John. I don't think I've changed that much.
I had a lot of chance to think on that plane. For the last 7 years, we've done our best to make each other miserable.
Is I really that awful?
Let me finish this, otherwise it'll never be said. Dr. Danvers told me that the node removal would alter your voice, a slight change in your appearance, maybe even your personality. I want you to know, Lila, I welcome those changes.
That's the nicest thing you could say to me, John.
Look, mister, the kind of place that I run here, it wouldn't pay if the word got out that I talked out of turn. You know what I mean? Hey, thank you. A fella brings a secretary in for a little drink, a little employer-employee relationship. It's really none of my business.
Ever seen this woman?
Yeah, I have. She used to come in here once or twice a week. Limousine always used to park in the lot here and wait for her.
Good. Now, I'm here because I'm looking for someone who has seen her drive that car.
Gee, no, the chauffeur is the only one I've ever seen drive it. Of course, that was quite a while back.
3 months?
Yeah, 3 months ago. She always used to come in here alone and meet the guy here.
You know the guy's name?
Sure. His name is Jimmy. That's all I know.
Could you describe him to me?
Yeah, sure. Medium height, good-looking guy, dark. He's kind of a real smooth operator, you know?
Well, if you ever see him again, call that number.
Oh, yeah, hey, thanks. These kind of prices, I'd deliver the guy to your doorstep if I see him.
Just amazing.
What is it?
Your hair really has changed. However, I have a feeling that I can do a lot more with this.
Why don't you say exactly what you mean?
Look, darling, you can play games with your husband if you want to, but I know you're not Lila Evanston. I've known ever since the first time I touched her hair. You forget that I knew Lila a lot better than anyone else. I would like you to know that I admire what you've done.
What do you want?
Lila was crazy about me. She used to give me things all the time. Clothes, car, really nice things. She had wonderful taste.
You'd like to keep on getting nice things.
Mm-hmm. Only what's fair, though. I mean, you are getting yours. I don't see any reason why I shouldn't get mine. Actually, I've had my eye on a little shop in San Francisco.
How much?
$50,000.
I haven't got that kind of money.
You can get it. I know you can.
Look, it's just not as simple as that. I mean, the money you're asking for
It's just money, right? Actually, you'd be contributing to the development of a great talent. One day, I expect to have a shop in Las Vegas, Miami, Chicago. I think big, just like you.
Mr. Jones, you're asking me to break the confidence of the doctor-patient relationship.
Doctor, your patient is facing a very serious lawsuit. From all the evidence I've been able to gather, she was driving the night of the accident.
Well, that's nonsense.
I've just come from the emergency hospital where they looked at Mrs. Evanston the night of the accident. Their blood workups indicate a high concentration of alcohol, which could support a felony drunk driving charge.
Well, I can assure you she said nothing to me that would indicate anything like this. I thought you were supposed to be on her side.
I am.
Well, the best way to help her is to forget the accident. Her husband is an extremely wealthy man. He can afford the settlement, whatever it might be.
No one can afford manslaughter.
Well, all I know is that she can't afford to go on reliving that accident for the rest of her life. I mean, she's better off not remembering.
Too bad that is a medical opinion and not a legal one.
Are you quite finished, Mr. Jones? I have some work to attend to.
Well, I won't keep you. I wonder if you could tell me where I could find Nurse Mayberry. Karen Mayberry?
What do you want with Nurse Mayberry?
Well, our company sent her several checks covering round-the-clock care for Mrs. Evanston. You and I know that Mrs. Evanston would be more likely to talk to her than anyone else.
Nurse Mayberry is no longer with us. She left town, I understand.
Oh, when was that?
About 6 weeks ago.
She leave a forwarding address?
No, she didn't.
Kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Well, not if you have more important things to occupy your mind with. Now, if you don't mind, Mr. Jones, I really do have some work.
Well, I don't want to hold you, and I better get going myself. I want to get down to the nurse's registry before it closes.
Nurse's registry?
Yes, I figure anyone as capable as Nurse Mayberry would be signing in somewhere just about the time you got settled. See you.
Dr. Danvers, for you.
Hank?
Yes. Can you talk?
Yeah, what is it?
That, detective, Mr. Jones, was just here. He's looking for Karen Mayberry. Are you sure you took care of everything?
Well, I closed the apartment. Yeah, I think so.
What do you mean you think?
All right, yes. Hank, are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Good, because Mr. Jones isn't our only problem. That hairdresser, James Cullen, was back.
What did he want?
I told you already, he knows. He wants $50,000. Hank, let's give it up. I'm scared. It's not going to work.
Now, you just hold on, dear. I'll talk to Mr. Cullen, and I'll call you back.
Good night.
Good night.
Is that you, George? Listen, George, we've left you quite a mess here today. You make it sparkle, and I'll take care of you on payday, all right? What do you want? We're closed.
Are you James Cullen?
Yeah, what do you want? We're closed. All right, okay, you want the money? It's over here in the drawer. Just hang on a second. Wait till I turn off the water.
There you are. I don't want your money.
May I help you, Doctor?
Yes, ma'am. Jones is the name. Is Dr. Danvers in today?
No, he isn't. Is there something I can do?
Yes, ma'am. I'm really looking for the nurse that Dr. Danvers used to go with.
Oh, Miss Mayberry.
Yes, that's the one.
I'm afraid you're a little late. She left some time ago. Surprise to all of us, I might add.
Yes, I know. I checked the nurse's registry, and she didn't leave a forwarding address. I thought possibly she may have taken a private job with possibly one of the doctors that worked with Dr. Danvers.
That would take a lot of checking.
Not really. I'm just interested in the doctors who worked on the Lila Evanston case.
Oh, that should be right here. Now, let's see. Uh-huh. Assisting physicians Luce and Thompson. Anesthesia nurse, Karen Mayberry. Of course, this was just the first procedure, the one they did at St. Agnes. There's no one listed here for the second operation.
Oh. I didn't know there was a second operation.
One evening, about 3 weeks into her convalescence, a minor tissue repair. Dr. Danvers often handles those right here.
I see. Oh, would you happen to have a personnel picture of Nurse Mayberry that I could borrow?
Yes. Here it is.
Oh, thank you very much. I'll get this right back to you. And do you happen to know the name of the neurosurgeon who took care of Mrs. Evanston's arm? I understand from emergency hospital report here that she suffered some damage to the radial nerve.
Dr. William Fairmont. Yes, poor thing. She could hardly hold a glass in her left hand. They decided not to intervene.
Oh, I thought they'd done a repair. Her hand looked just fine.
I'm afraid not. The neurosurgeon decided to wait 6 to 9 months to see if the nerve would repair itself.
Oh, I see. Well, thank you again.
Oh, Dr. Jones, if you don't locate Miss Maybury, I've always wanted to work for someone with a charming bedside manner.
Miss Dobbs, I assure you that when I need a nurse, you'll be the first one I call for.
You're coming along beautifully, my dear. A nice piece of work, even if I do say so myself.
James Collin? How do you feel about that nice piece of work?
I don't know what you're talking about. It was an accident. A fortunate one, I admit, but nevertheless an accident.
Oh, come on, Hank. Between the amphetamines and the barbiturates, you're beginning to believe your own lies.
If something had to be done, he did it himself.
Hank, look, I began this masquerade to save you, but this is murder.
Look, in a little while, you'll get a quickie divorce. It'll all be over. I'm sure Evanston will lay quite a settlement on you.
No. A divorce, okay, but I'm not going to take advantage of him. He's a nice man. I don't want to hurt him.
That sounds a little ominous. Do I detect a little bit of conscience then? Or are you falling in love with a shy, reluctant friend?
Mr. Jones, won't you come in?
Thank you.
Dr. Danvers, I hope I'm not interrupting anything.
No. We're quite finished. If you will excuse me, I have some telephoning to do.
Oh, surely.
Would you like a cup of tea, Mr. Jones?
Oh, no, thanks. I don't think so, not at the moment. You know, I feel a little bit like a young man out on a blind date for the first time. He winds up with his sister.
I don't understand.
Well, you see, I've been looking for Nurse Mayberry, hoping that possibly you had said something to her which might enable me to clear up the circumstances of your accident.
Well, I'm sorry I wasn't more helpful.
Well, the problem is that I was unable to find Nurse Mayberry, so I'm back here now hoping that she may have said something to you which would enable me to find her.
I don't recall anything.
Well, it's a chance. You recall a club named the Blue Heron? Does that mean anything to you?
No, I've never heard of it. Am I supposed to?
You know, I think I will have that cup of tea if you don't mind.
Certainly.
The young man at the Blue Heron says he remembers seeing you there, possibly the night of the accident. He said you were with a very handsome young man.
I've told you before that I have no memory of that entire day.
Oh, could I have 2 lumps of sugar, please? He said he saw you there on a number of occasions. You don't recall anything of that nature?
Afraid not. I'm sure it's a case of mistaken identity.
You know, that was pretty good.
What?
The way you handle those sugar tongs. With your left hand.
I'm sorry, but
They told me at the hospital that you couldn't use the fingers of your left hand for 6 weeks after the accident. Couldn't even hold a glass of water.
If you were a medical man, Mr. Jones, you'd know that spontaneous nerve regeneration is not unusual.
Mrs. Evanston is very fortunate. Did you also take care of the laceration on her left forearm? I hardly noticed a scar.
That's my line of work, too.
Congratulations, Doctor. You've done your work well. Well, Mrs. Evanston, Dr. Danvers, good day. I know my way out.
Good day.
He knows.
He knows, but he can't prove anything.
Mr. French from the Blue Heron.
Yes, Mr. French.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Jones, I found your man for you.
That's good. Did you get his name?
It's that, Mr. James. His picture's in the paper today. It's a hairstylist that, got himself electrocuted.
Betty, could I have the morning paper? Are you sure that this is the same man that you saw with Mrs. Evanston?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I've seen him with your lady a number of times.
Thank you very much. Well, Betty, looks like Lila Evanston lost her boyfriend before she remembered who he was.
I don't quite follow that.
Lila Evanston stands to lose $1 million lawsuit, maybe even go to jail. But instead of helping, all she's done is lie.
Lie? But you said the shock of the accident could have destroyed all memory of that evening.
But only for that evening. What about before then? She denies ever having heard of the Blue Heron, yet she went there repeatedly to meet James Collins. Now, she was either lying or she never heard about it in the first place.
How do you explain it?
I explain it like this. I don't believe that Lila Evanston ever left that hospital alive.
What?
Look, I'll show you. Now, all of these pictures are the same head size. This is a newspaper picture of Lila before the accident. Now, look at the discrepancies when you measure it against the picture of Lila Evanston following the accident.
Barnaby, you said yourself that the surgery was extensive.
But there's one measurement that doesn't vary. That's the difference between the pupils. 2.5 millimeters. They just don't match.
Well, could it be the enlargement you made?
No, because I measured the size of the iris. You see, the measurements are exactly the same between these two. And that's the reason I could never find Nurse Mayberry. She was hiding behind the face of Lila Evanston.
Refreshments.
Sort of early in the day for champagne, isn't it?
Well, not when it's a maid's afternoon off.
Now, you said you'd be patient.
Well, I thought things were different between us.
They are. I just want things to be right.
See? The afternoon is right for champagne. Now, here's the plan. Let's get away from here. I mean, just the two of us. Let's go someplace where we can be alone. What do you say?
I don't know. There's so many preparations.
No, they're all taken care of. Look, I got the plane tickets right here. By tomorrow morning, we can be in the Hotel Copenhagen. In the same honeymoon suite. Please, Lila. Come with me.
You really want me to go?
More than anything I've ever wanted in my life.
I'd like that. All right.
Good.
But you'll have to give me time to get some wardrobe because I don't have a thing to wear this time of year in Denmark. I must say you don't give a girl much time. Passports. Hey, what time do we have to be at? What's the matter?
The Hotel Copenhagen isn't in Denmark. It's in the Virgin Islands.
Yeah. Well, if I'd ever been there, I would have known that, wouldn't I? I'm not going to lie to you anymore. I didn't enjoy lying.
Where's Lila?
She's dead. She died after surgery.
Well, who are you?
I'm Karen Mabry, Lila's nurse.
What happened?
Hank took a chance that he shouldn't have, and...
Well, why did you go through all this?
To protect Hank. Because I thought I needed him, and...
And you let me fall in love with you?
Yep. It's the only part of this I didn't mind.
Very touching. No one answered the front door, so I let myself in.
You're responsible for this.
You said yourself it was a remarkable job.
Tell that to the police. Oh, since you're so proud.
All right, come on, let's get him out of here.
No. I'm not going on with this nightmare any longer.
You help me or I finish him right here.
Be careful.
All right, get in. Just handle it cool.
Look, going somewhere?
Yeah, to the clinic. Gonna run some tests.
Well, this will only take a minute. Miss Evanson, I wonder if you'd mind looking at this photograph for me. Can you identify this woman?
Yes, of course. It's Karen Mayberry.
What is this? You didn't have to trouble Mrs. Evanson with that photograph?
Well, as a matter of fact, I did. You see, a photograph picks up excellent fingerprints. And if my suspicions are correct, the prints will be the same as those of the lady in the picture.
What are you talking about?
Karen Mayberry. You see, Mrs. Evanson didn't have a fingerprint record, but Miss Mayberry did. She may be wearing Lila's face, but I'm betting that those are the fingertips of a nurse.
Mr. Joe.
I don't think we need to listen to any more nonsense. Good day, Mr. Jones.
Good day.
No! No! No!
Hold it!
She looks fine, doesn't she?
Well, I think you're coming to see her accounting for a lot of that.
You know, what charges is she going to have to face, I mean, once she recovers?
Well, from what we've learned from Dr. Danvers, Karen had nothing to do with Colin's death or with Danvers' assault on you. It's mostly a case of fraud.
Well, whatever it is, I'll make sure she has the best legal representation possible. I assume you're available to help them defend her.
Just call on me.
Thank you. Eddie?
Did I miss something? But is he going to defend Karen Mayberry after all this?
He has to. He loves her very much. And after what she did for him, I have a feeling it goes both ways. What's the matter? Something wrong?
No. I'm just a sucker for a happy ending, that's all.
Barnaby Jones, a Quinn Martin production, starring Buddy Ebsen, also starring Lee Merriweather, Mark Shera, with guest stars Bernard Barrow, Andrew Parks, John Getz. Tonight's episode, The Scapegoat.
Again. A guy has a couple of drinks, and the only living saint in California has him down for a lush. How about a nightcap?
Nightcap? It's a lucky thing for you my parents are out of town. Otherwise, Dad'd break your neck.
Junie, you don't mean this stuff about not seeing me again.
Yes, I do now. Come on. Come on.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, scratched me.
It's just a little scratch.
Junie! Hey! Come on, Junie! I love you. I'll see you in the morning.
Dewey, what the devil are you doing here?
In flagrante delicto, they say in law school. Caught in the act. Didn't Walt come home with you?
Walt? Well, he just left. Are you going to tell me what you're doing here?
Well, you know, me and my practical jokes, I figured I'd slip in ahead of you and Loverboy and throw a scare into him. Figured he'd swear off the bottle for good.
Well, you sure scared me. My heart nearly stopped.
I'm sorry, hon. I figured we'd all get a good laugh out of it, but I guess I arrived too late.
Wow. Between two goofballs like you and Walt, a girl could end up just... Dewey, what's going on?
Wow. Look at that. We better check out the rest of the house, June. Looks like somebody's been breaking in.
Oh, Dewey, it's you, isn't it? You've stolen Dad's coins.
Hey, come on, June.
No, it's true. Look at yourself. It's that stardust you're on, that coke.
Okay. Okay, I'll put them back. How's that?
Throwing your life away like this, stealing like a common thief.
Look, I said I'd put them back. I'll pay for the glass. Isn't that enough?
Okay, Dewey. Sure, I'll swear nothing happened.
You're gonna blow it all for me, aren't you? You're gonna get me thrown in prison.
No. No, Dewey, I won't say anything.
I'll die if they put me in jail. I'll die.
Dewey?
Hi, Dad.
I thought you'd be home studying. Don't you have that property law exam coming up Monday?
Yeah, Dad, I thought a little walk would clear the cobwebs.
Jump in. I'll drive you home.
Thanks.
I tell you the truth, Walt. I don't like getting in the middle between you and June. It's just going to make things worse.
JR, she respects you. She'll listen to you.
All right, but if I blow it, don't blame your attorney.
Just tell her that I know what kind of a dummy I've been, all right? And I promise I'll stay off the booze as long as I live.
Maybe the bell doesn't work. What do we...
Hey, Walt,
Oh, hi, Louise.
why are you making all that racket? It's only 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, some people like to sleep in on Sundays.
Yeah, look, June and I are supposed to go sailing with some of the gang this morning. Could you tell her I'm waiting? And tell her that JR is with me? Huh?
JR? Yes. Sure.
No. June?
All right, Mrs. Dalton, thank you. Think of anything else, give me a call, huh? You can go ahead. Hi, Gordon. Well, I've heard of lawyers chasing ambulances, but don't you think jogging clothes are a little too much?
Well, I live just around the corner. Huh. Who was that?
June Nelson. Do you know her?
Her father's one of my best friends. What happened?
Well, the way it looks now, she surprised a burglar last night, robbing her father's gold coin collection.
We just hadn't had that fight. If I'd stayed with her.
Walt, there's nothing else you can do here. Come on, let's go.
Mr. Eldridge. Just a couple more questions before you go, if you don't mind.
I'm tired of these questions. Can't I go home?
Come on, Lieutenant, give him a break. He was in love with her.
This isn't exactly fun and games for me either, JR. We haven't been able to find any sign of a break-in. You're sure Miss Nelson locked the door behind you after you left last night?
Yes. I tried to get back in. If I had, maybe she'd be alive right now.
Take it easy, Walt.
Just one other little thing here. Mrs. Dalton, housekeeper, says that you and Miss Nelson were having a few problems. Fights about your drinking too much. Seems she told Mrs. Dalton that she was actually afraid of how violent you get sometimes when you're drunk.
I could deck you for what you're thinking.
Does have a pretty good temper, doesn't he?
Like I said, he was in love with her, Lieutenant.
Yeah. Be with you in a minute, Gordon.
Mr. Lassiter? J.R. Jones. Dewey introduced us when you were giving your lecture on the McNaughton rule.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Excuse me. Walt, wait a minute.
Dewey, get up.
Oh, what's the panic, Dad? It's Sunday.
Dewey. June Nelson's dead.
June's dead? What are you talking about?
She was murdered by a burglar who broke into the house last night and stole Ben Nelson's gold coin collection.
Oh, no. That's awful.
Police say it happened about 1 o'clock this morning. Just about the time I picked you up outside the Nelson house.
Yeah, you'd have thought that when I was passing by the place, I would have noticed something.
No. You weren't just passing the house. You were just leaving it.
Leaving it? What do you mean, leaving it?
Where is it?
Where are you hiding it?
Hiding what?
Speedballs, gold dust. Coke. Or whatever the hell you call that poison that's turned you into someone I don't even know anymore.
I told you I wasn't snorting coke anymore. Didn't I swear to you I would never use that junk again, didn't I?
Yeah, just like you swore you'd stop stealing to brave of the rotten stuff.
Swore you'd stop breaking into houses. Swore. On the memory of your mother.
You think that I killed June?
Oh, please, Dewey, no more lies.
Dad, June and I grew up together. How could you think that about me? Gotta believe me, Dad. Please.
Okay, son. I'm sorry. I had to put it to you. I had to find out.
Okay.
Well, you better get dressed. Ben and Ellen Nelson are coming back from New York this afternoon.
What is that? Oh, my God.
No, wait a minute, Dad. It's not what you think it is.
These are Ben Nelson.
No, those coins are mine. I got them from a guy last night.
Liar.
I didn't mean to kill her. I was only trying to stop her from calling the police. That's all. I panicked. I swear, Dad, I didn't mean to hurt her.
Oh, Dewey. What am I going to do?
Help me, please, help me.
I don't know how.
You'll think of a way, Dad. You always do.
Barnaby, do you think that the insurance company is going to want you to stay down in San Diego longer than 2 days on that warehouse fire?
Not unless I find some evidence of arson. Well, Jedediah, you look like a fella who didn't do too well in his property law examination.
Oh, I did okay, I guess.
Doesn't look as though you've had much sleep. Cramming for the exam?
No, I was up half the night with Walt. June's death really put him away.
Well, listen, why don't you go on home, sack out. I can hold down the fort here. Barnaby Jones Investigations.
It's a good idea. I think I will.
Just a second, please, JR. It's Walt Eldridge. He's down at police headquarters.
Walt, what's up? Okay, sure. I'll be right over. Goodbye. They just picked up Walt for questioning. He wants me to be there.
No offense, Jedediah, but don't you think he'd be better off with a full-fledged lawyer?
Come on, Barnaby. Walt's a long way from needing a lawyer. Besides, half a lawyer's better than none.
We haven't had time for comparison tests yet, but Mr. Eldridge himself admits that the skin and blood particles found under Miss Nelson's nails probably belong to him.
So June scratched me, so what?
Lieutenant, it's already been established that Walt and June argued a bit. But they were just lovers' quarrels, you know.
JR, you're in here on a pass because you're his friend. Just as soon hear it from him.
When I left June, she was alive. That's all I know.
Whatever happened to the burglary theory?
Well, it's possible, you know. Just possible those gold coins were stolen to make it look like a burglary.
That's a lie.
Take it easy, Walt.
That temper of yours is not helping you any. You know that?
I'm sorry, I just don't
What's going on out there?
Take your time, gentlemen.
What is your interest in this case, Mr. Lassiter?
Have you been retained by the Eldridge boy? Come on, Gordon, give us a break.
Gentlemen, just give me a few minutes and I'd be glad to answer all the questions you want to throw at me.
What are you doing here, Gordon?
Well, my son Dewey tells me one of his classmates might need some legal advice. Finding him in your clutches, John, apparently he does.
You mean you're here to represent Walt?
If that's all, I believe so.
Even if I needed a lawyer, Mr. Lassiter, I couldn't afford you.
Justice is served, Walt, not bought.
It's a little like killing a fly with a sledgehammer, isn't it, Gordon? I haven't even charged Walt with anything yet.
It's that yet we have to eliminate from your thinking, John. Mind if I have a private chat with my client?
I'm not holding him. He's free to leave.
I'd like JR to be in on this, okay?
Absolutely. 2 lawyers are better than 1.
Lieutenant, I think you better start looking for that burglar again. We've got the best defense attorney in the country on our side now. Mr. Lassiter, hello. I hope you don't mind us dropping by this late.
Not at all. Come on in.
Hello, Mr. Lassiter. I'm Nancy Bracken. I met you at Dewey's New Year's Eve party.
Right, yeah. Well, Dewey's in the study.
Hi, Dewey.
Nancy?
Isn't it just awful about June?
Actually, Mr. Lassiter, we're here to see you. It'll only take a minute, but it's pretty important.
All right. Should we step in there?
Sure, thank you.
Well, JR, what's this all about?
It's about Walt's temper.
Yes. I've already cautioned Walt. The police think he might have killed June in a drunken fit of anger.
Well, sir, I think we can take the heat off Walt by completely disproving that theory.
Oh? How?
With Nancy's help. She can tell the police that June was always threatening to leave Walt, and each time they just get back together again.
Except the last time. It can be effectively argued.
Not if we can establish a long-standing pattern of behavior. Nancy?
It's true, Mr. Lassiter. Oh, June would tell Walt she'd never see him again, things like that. And they'd split up for a few days. Then one of them would pick up the phone, and they were right back together again.
You see? I mean, why would the threat of a split turn Walt into a killer when each time things would turn out okay?
The point's well taken. Nancy. I gather you knew June well.
We were best friends.
Well, did she tell you that she and Walt fought? Not just verbally. I mean physically.
You mean like a punch-out?
Yes, I'm thinking of a recent incident Walt told me about. Just a few weeks ago, June got jealous of a girl Walt was flirting with. Did she tell you she threw a beer glass at him?
Yeah, sure. But throwing isn't like hitting.
But the threat of violence is the herald of violence to come. Wouldn't you say?
I don't know what you mean.
Didn't June say she got so angry at Walt that night, she asked another boy to drive her home?
Yes?
Now, hold on, Mr. Lassiter. Nancy's on our side.
Well, we'll see about that. Now, Nancy, in your own words, tell us what happened next.
Walt got mad, too. And he told her to get out of the car.
And she said no, that they were through. Now, what did June tell you Walt said to that?
That he'd break her neck if she ever left. But he didn't mean it. He was always...
That's enough.
Now, wait a minute. You can't dismiss a good character witness like that. Let her testify to Walt's attitude at the time and his tone of voice.
He said he would break her neck. Now, that's all the police or a jury, if it should ever come to trial, would have to hear. His attitude, his tone of voice. Irrelevant.
All right, okay. I'll try and dig something else up.
Oh, don't misunderstand me, Jay. All right? I'm used to working with my own investigators. Professionals who don't waste time developing leads that go nowhere. So, I'll try to dig up something else for you to do.
Thank you for your help, Mr. Lassiter. Do we? We'll find our way out.
I'll be in touch, J.R. You sure he's just not answering his phone? I mean, you see his car around anywhere.
No, I think he's probably over at JR's.
Whistle if you hear anyone coming. Did she get a look at you?
I don't think so.
Let's get out of here.
Holy cow, what happened?
I don't know, Mr. Smithers. I put my money in, I turn it on, and boom, I get April showers.
What's this?
I don't know. Hey, those look like gold.
8 $20 double eagles.
Who could they belong to?
This guy I read about in the papers, he had 8 of these. Operator, get me the police.
Well, Barnaby, I hate to drag you all the way up here from San Diego, but I don't quite know how to handle a living legend like Gordon Lassiter.
Sure it's not a case of you being ticked off at Lassiter for pushing you aside?
Well, I hope it is just my ego, if only for Walt's sake.
That's all there is to it. After I left June that night, I came straight home sacked out.
What about 2 Wednesdays ago? The night of the 17th between 7 and 9. Remember what you were doing then?
Wednesday. I have a night class in logic on Wednesdays, 7:30 to 10.
Yeah, I take the morning class. What about Monday the 2nd, about 10:30 in the morning?
Like today, I guess. I was either cleaning the pool or taking out the garbage. What do those times have to do with anything?
According to the insurance reports, there were some other burglaries in June's neighborhood on those days.
The idea is to pinpoint whether or not it was the same burglar. And if it is, you are home free, my friend.
Excuse me.
Mr. Eldridge, placing you under arrest for suspicion of murder in the death of June Nelson.
John, you sound as sure of yourself as a man who's read tomorrow's newspaper.
Maybe. These were found hidden downstairs in the laundry room. Oh, that's crazy. Mr. Eldridge, you have the right to remain silent. If you give up the right to remain silent, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to speak to an attorney and to have an attorney present during questioning.
What?
How'd it go?
Not bad if you end up saving the taxpayers the cost of a trial.
You mean he wanted you to plead guilty?
You've got to be kidding.
I told him no way. I gotta go for broke.
All right, Eldridge. Let's go.
Oh, what's the story, Barnaby? Lasser certainly didn't build up a reputation by giving up without a fight.
Maybe working for nothing has lost its charm.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to throw in the towel. Listen, why don't we go over to Walt's apartment building and check that manager's story?
You go ahead. I'm going to see if my friends in robbery have anything on those burglaries in the Nelson neighborhood.
Okay, see you later.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Me or the dive?
Well, Cindy, diving is not one field in which I'm an expert.
Uh-huh. You already know my name. That makes you an expert in picking up girls then, huh? Tell the fellas, you can't win them all.
Wait a minute. I'm not trying to pick you up, honest.
Adding insult to injury, huh? Bet you make a lot of friends that way.
Look, my name is J.R. Jones. Your manager pointed you out to me, and I just want to ask you a couple of questions about the guys you saw in the garage last night.
Why? You a cop?
No, I'm not a cop. I'm a friend of Walt Eldridge.
Oh. Walt's arrest have anything to do with this?
It might. Do you remember what the guys looked like?
Well, there were two of them. I didn't see much of the one who hid in the laundry room. And the other, I just got a quick flash of him ducking behind a car.
Tall, short, fair, dark what?
Kind of medium height, nice build, fair-haired. Could have been 22, 26.
Do you think you could identify him if you saw him again?
It's pretty dark. I don't know. Maybe.
Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate it. I know Walt does, too.
Hey. Don't go away thinking you have to lose them all, either.
Never entered my mind. How you do? Where's your old man? I want to talk to him.
My old man?
What's so funny?
My old man.
What are you laughing about?
Don't you know Gordon Lassiter's a god? You don't refer to God as your old man. You don't just talk to him. You kneel there at his shrine and worship him.
Dewey, what are you on?
I guess I must have sopped up a little too much beer at lunch. Dad'll be home in a little while. What's it about?
Did he tell you that Walt's been busted?
Yeah, those coins. Dumb, wasn't he, leaving evidence like that around his own apartment house?
I see. You two already have him tried and convicted, huh?
Hey, now, wait a minute. Walt's my friend, too. But, those were the coins from the Nelson house.
There's no doubt about that, is there?
Which means that whoever killed June probably knew Walt, too, and knew that he'd make a terrific patsy.
Frame? Why? If it's just some burglar, why would he go to all the trouble of hanging it on Walt?
Well, I don't think we're dealing with an ordinary burglar here. I think this is the same guy who's been ripping off this neighborhood for the past couple of months. Somebody who knows his victims personally. Now, I figure that June must have come in on him, recognized him, so he killed her. And then to take the heat off of himself, he framed Walt.
Wow. If you could only prove that.
Well, there was a girl in the garage last night who says she saw somebody in the laundry. My hunch, it was the guy who planted the coins.
Are you saying she actually saw him do it?
No. No, but she said there was another guy with him. And there's a chance she can recognize him. And if he turns out to be our neighborhood burglar, you know the rest.
But, so dark in that garage, especially near the elevator. How could she have gotten such a good look at him?
Well, she says she saw enough to know that he was mid-20s, medium height, fair. How did you know it was dark by the elevator?
Well, I drove over to see Walt a couple of nights ago and parked there. Maybe one of the lights was out.
I gotta go. See you later.
JR. Well, you should have told me you were coming by. What's up?
Well, I think Dewey will fill you in, Mr. Lassiter.
Why was JR here?
I think he knows.
Knows what?
That I had something to do with it.
You're flying again. How can you know anything when you're like this?
Famous Lassiter intuition, that's how. That girl in the garage last night, she pointed him straight at me, and now he's gonna keep digging until he has it all.
First June, then Walt, now young Jones. Once it starts, there's no end to it, is there?
JR?
He's left us no alternative, has he?
Barnaby, all of the victims of the burglaries in June's neighborhood were friends of the Lassiters. Now, I'm telling you, Dewey is our man. He's got to know the layout of all of those homes.
Oh, boy. Before you go galloping off on that horse, let's see that you got a saddle under you.
All right. Exhibit A. Dewey telling me that he had too much beer is baloney, because I checked with a guy at school and he backs me up that he's been snorting coke, and a lot of it.
I know it. Lassiter is a rich man. You're going to find it hard to convince people that Dewey is going around committing all these robberies to get money.
Yeah, but Betty, you are talking about money. I am talking about money. Like maybe $1,000 a week cocaine habit. Now, hear me out, just hear me out. Exhibit B. Lassiter telling Walt to cop a plea for what?
The coins were found in Walt's building.
Circumstantial, Betty. Any good lawyer could neutralize evidence like that in a minute, and Lassiter is the best.
Speculation. Now, most people are not going to accept the notion that Lassiter's doing it to protect Dewey.
Why not? What better way to save his son than to pin it on Walt?
It's a very interesting theory, but there's nothing in it we can show the police.
All right. That's where that old solid gold watch of yours comes in, Barnaby.
Are you speaking about my grandfather's gold watch?
Look, I figured that Dewey had to have a fence for all the stuff that he's been ripping off from those houses. And I've been asking around. I've got this line on a guy who deals exclusively in the unique kind of collector's items that were stolen.
Are you suggesting that we use my grandfather's watch for bait?
JR, it's an heirloom.
All right. It was just an idea. You know, I figured that the only way we could force Dewey's hand and get the evidence was to connect him to the burglaries through his fence. I hardly think that this sundial of mine here would impress anybody.
Jedediah, I'm willing to make many sacrifices in the interests of justice, but losing this watch is not one of them.
Barnaby, I promise you that I will take care of this. And if I don't, you can count on one thing. I'll kill myself. Thank you.
That's a beauty.
Yeah, chariot of the gods. Yes, sir. 32,000 bucks, and you know what? They throw in a set of tools.
That's what they tell me. Easy Eddie is the classiest guy in town. Only deals in top quality merchandise.
That's what they tell who?
J.R. Jones. You know, I can see they're right. You're a man of taste and discernment.
Yeah, my papa always told me, watch your pocket, boy, the minute they start saying nice things about you. Who is this day that's spouting off with all those honeyed words?
Guy I know at school. What do you think?
Handsome timepiece indeed.
Uh-huh. They tell me it's worth over $3,000. And this is just a small example of the kind of items I can supply.
Who sent you, my man?
I can't really say, I promised.
Well, then I would say you're involved in highly illegal activities of which I want no part. Beat it.
All right, okay. Dewey Lassiter. He told me that you deal merchandise with coke.
Dewey Lassiter. No, I'm afraid he's not an acquaintance of mine.
Look, I don't need anything right now, but I'm telling you, in a couple of days, I'm going to really be hurting bad.
Well, just in case I run into someone who might be interested, where can I reach you?
555-9134. You can call me anytime. If you got a pen, I'll write it down for you.
Won't be necessary. Got it. Have a nice day.
You too.
I'll get it.
Hello? Hey, Turkey, you know why they call me Easy Eddie? 'Cause I ain't.
What do you want?
Man, what the hell are you doing spreading my name around?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, some dude dropped by looking the deal, says you gave him the word.
Who was it?
I don't know, he knows you from school. J.R. Jones, he said.
No, it's a setup. Stay away from him.
What's the matter?
Hold on. It's the fence I've been dealing with. Says JR's been to see him, wants to do business with him. I told you he was on to me. Dad, what are we gonna do?
All right, just calm down. Tell this fence he's got to do something for you.
I can't.
Do it. Tell him he'll take a fall, and hard, unless he does exactly what I say.
Hello, Eddie. Listen, we'll take care of it. But there's something you've got to do. JR's not stupid. He knows Eddie will check him out with me, and the minute Eddie calls him back, he'll know he's being set up.
I've already anticipated that.
But the police, they'll be waiting.
I don't think he'll want to scare you off till he's sure you've taken the bait. I figure there'll be just enough time to do what has to be done.
Well, you have to do it without me. I'm not going.
I anticipated that, too. All right. I'll handle it myself. Just like I always have.
Yeah, you take care of it for me. After all, I'm only a mere human being. I'm not perfect like you.
I never asked you to be.
Sure you did. You wanted me to act like you. You wanted me to dress like you. You wanted me to be as smart as you. I couldn't even decide what I wanted to be. I had to be a lawyer, just like you. I never wanted to be a lawyer.
Look, after this is over, we'll talk.
Yeah, sure, we'll talk.
the boys' camp, Barnaby. Must be where Eddie set up the meet. What do you think it's gonna be, Barnaby? Dewey, his father, both of them, or is Eddie gonna check me out again?
Well, that's the thing about clever people. When they're desperate, you never know what to expect. Here, your tape recorder's loaded. All you have to do is turn it on, see?
Yeah, okay.
Now, give me a half a minute, and then go on around.
Eddie?
Nobody around here. Looks like we're gonna have to do some heavy leaning on your friend Easy Eddie. Let's go.
Yeah, well, it was a long shot anyway. Wait a minute. That front seat was not forward when I left the car.
Looks like you may have a chance to get something on your tape recorder after all. I'll cover you from the other side of the car.
All right, get in, JR. You gonna take us for a little drive?
I'm disappointed, Mr. Lassiter. I thought it would be Dewey.
It should have been. Unfortunately, he can't handle his own mistakes.
Which was killing June. And yours is trying to cover up for him.
He's my son. I'm doing what I have to. Get in.
Dewey! Lassiter, get out and stop him. I don't want to have to shoot your son.
Think I can't do it, huh? Well, I'll show you. I'll do it, Dad. You'll see. I'll make you proud of me.
Stop him right now.
Dewey! No! Don't shoot! Get out of the way, Dad!
No, no. Dewey. No. Just give me the gun. It's all over, Dewey.
It is? It's great. Came through for you, huh, Dad? Made you proud of me, huh? Isn't that what you wanted, Dad? To be proud of me?
You know, checking out of jail. The thing that still got me shaken up is seeing the great Gordon Lassiter being booked and fingerprinted along with Dewey.
Well, if you think that's something, wait till you see the great Gordon Lassiter in court trying to defend himself along with Dewey.
That may be Mr. Lassiter's ultimate mistake.
How's that?
Well, if it's true that a man treating himself as a fool for a doctor, same thing might be true of lawyers.
Well, thanks again, J.R. Mr. Jones?
Walt, we'll see you in class.
Oh, Jedediah, how about some dinner? On me.
Barnaby, I'll tell you the truth, I just this minute made other plans for dinner. So if you'd like to join us, Cindy and I will be having pizza.
No, you go ahead, Jedediah. I don't want to steal your girl.
Thanks, boss.